I think he's going to turn it into a digital payment system with digital currencies. He's got a background in that. And speaking of that, I wanted to get your thoughts on the big story in the cryptocurrency space over the last couple of weeks, which is this 30-year-old MIT grad, Sam Bankman-Fried, bankrupting his company FTX, which was worth $40 billion at one point, down to zero. And this strange response where he's being almost promoted by the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, and people maybe even in government, and yet at the same time seems to have single-handedly destroyed the reputation of crypto. Crypto itself didn't fail, but obviously the manipulation of those assets did fail. What do you see happening here?
Well, the reason I've never had anything to do with crypto is because I could see that the plan was, in this Great Reset, that became known as the Great Reset, to introduce a digital currency controlled by the system so that they can, like I said earlier, they can just take what they want. If you're fined, you can't challenge it. It's just taken from your bank account like they do in China. That's the whole point. And therefore, if crypto was genuine, they were going to destroy it because it would get in their way. And what you look at, the red flags, are what the regulatory agencies are doing in response to a situation. And if they jump on someone, then they want to destroy them. But if they don't, then that someone is doing something they want to happen. And so you've got this guy, what's his name, Gary Gensler?
Yeah, the SEC
the
chairman.
head of the Securities Commission in America.
Who also ran Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah, and so he's been on very friendly terms with Bankman-Fried. And then you've got the New York Times, which is co-owned to its fingertips, DNA, always has been, that's eulogizing a guy that's just cost enormous amounts of people enormous amounts of money. Then you look at the fact that money that was given to Ukraine through this guy comes back to the Democratic Party in America, and funded many people in the midterm elections. And it makes no sense that someone who's done all that and been such a disaster is not being jumped upon by the system. But, of course, one of the phrase I came up with back in the 90s, problem, reaction, solution. Create the problem, get the public to say, do something about the problem which you've created, and then openly offer the solutions to the problem you have created, which is to advance your agenda in whatever area that the problem relates to. So already now, they're talking about new laws and regulations to target crypto as a result of Bankman-Fried's actions. And, you know, the guy has cult puppet written all over him, stamped on his forehead. Whether he knows that is another thing. But he's done what they wanted to happen to let them justify what they want to do. And, you know, the idea is that this digital currency will have no rival whatsoever. There'll be one world digital currency. Like I say, I said this in a book in 1992, 93, Robots Rebellion. And there will be no other rival to it, no other possibility. So every single transaction that you make will be registered and known in real time by the system. And again, totalitarian tiptoe. You start with cash, then you move to credit cards. Oh, it's more easier to do, and it's simpler to do, and it's more convenient. And okay, you have credit cards, all right, but cash has got to remain. But you don't want cash to remain, you want cash to disappear. So it starts to disappear. They start to take out branches of banks all over the world. This is happening. So you can't go to the bank and deal in cash. They're taking out ATMs all over the world, so you can't get cash. It's a war on cash. Now, what happened, because COVID just keeps on giving, when it started out, it was announced through the World Health Organization, if you remember, very early on, you could get COVID from money, right? So suddenly, in next to no time, I'm asking for a cup of coffee on a little kiosk on the station, and they're telling me I can only pay by card because you can get COVID from money. And all that was to, and it's massively happened so much faster as a result, is to get rid of the use of cash. I was in a supermarket once on the Isle of Wight, Brian, and I wanted to pay cash. And so the guy lifts this little kind of receptacle thing with an handle on it, the checkout guy, and he says, put your money in there, right? I said, well, what's that all about? I knew what it was all about, but what's all that about? Oh, it's COVID. You can get it off cash, right? And there were some members of staff there behind him. And I said, so you can get COVID off money, right? Oh, yeah. Like paper money, yeah. So why are you selling newspapers? Right? Silence. And you notice how the newspapers emphasized at that time, I was watching it very closely, you can get COVID from money, but you can't get it from newspapers. Well, can you explain why that is? No, I'm not going to explain why. I'm just telling you. Because we want to get rid of cash, because our masters want to get rid of cash, but we don't want you to stop buying a newspaper, right? It's insane. The world's insane. It's a madhouse. And once you realize it's a madhouse, it all makes sense. It's when you think you're trying to work out why things are happening and why things have some level of sense about them. That's when you get your nook cooked. When you realize it's a madhouse run by lunatics and psychopaths, then everything falls into place and you can see what's going on.